I want you to close your eyes for a second. Just imagine you are standing at the base of a mountain.
Okay.
But erase any picture you have of a peaceful nature hike or, a scenic overlook.
Right.
This is a visceral, terrifying assault on your nervous system. The ground isn't just vibrating, it is convulsing beneath your feet, like the earth itself is nauseous.
Wow.
And there is a sound, a trumpet blast. But it's not musical. It's a frequency so low and so loud, it's rattling your rib cage, growing louder and louder until you just want to cover your ears.
I can almost feel that.
The air smells like sulfur and ozone, like a furnace has been opened, and the peak of the mountain is wrapped in this thick, impenetrable gloom, flashing of lightning.
It sounds like the climax of a disaster movie or a horror film right before the monster appear.
It does.
Yeah.
But we are looking at Exodus chapter 19. This is the moment the people of Israel meet God at Mount Sinai. And we have to be clear about the vibe here. Nobody is singing campfire songs. They are trembling. They are physically shaking with terror.
Which makes what they do next so incredibly baffling. It's arguably the most confusing psychological pivot in the entire Bible.
Right. Because right in the middle of this sensory overload, right when they should be running away or hiding their faces, they make a promise.
They do.
And today, on this timely word, we are going to unpack why that specific promise, which sounds so noble, so responsible, so Christian, was actually the fatal mistake that changed the trajectory of human history.
It really is the fatal mistake. It's the moment humanity pivoted from a relationship based on being carried to a relationship based on, well, on debt.
And the scary part is, most of us are still making this exact same mistake every time we look in the mirror in the morning.
It's that fix yourself trap.
So welcome back. We've got a massive topic today. We're pulling from Exodus, Job, Mark, and even some heavy linguistic analysis of the Greek. We're going to find out why your good intentions might actually be the very thing that's destroying you.
Let's get into it.
So set the scene for us. Before we get to the scary mountain, what was the status of the relationship? Because God didn't start with the thunder and the smoke, did he?
No, and that is the crucial context that, everyone misses. Before they arrived at Sinai, God describes his relationship with them in this beautiful poetic phrase. He says, I bore you on eagle's wings.
Eagle's wings. That implies total passivity on the part of the passenger.
Exactly. I mean, if you're being carried by an eagle, you aren't walking, you aren't navigating, you aren't exerting any effort at all.
You're just resting.
You are simply resting in the power of the one carrying you. That was the whole Exodus. They didn't fight Pharaoh, God did. They didn't part the sea, God did. It was 100% grace.
God was the actor, they were the receivers.
Yes.
Okay, so they are riding high on grace. They are safe. They get to Sinai. God proposes a covenant. And in Exodus 19:8, the people respond. And I want to read this because on the surface, this sounds like the right thing to say.
It really does.
They answer together. All that Jehovah has spoken, we will do.
And there it is. The shift. The moment the lights went out.
But hold on. I have to play devil's advocate here. If I tell my boss, whatever you need, I'll do it. I get a promotion. If I tell my spouse, I'm going to fix this behavior, that's taking responsibility. That's maturity. Why is this sentence, we will do it, viewed as a catastrophe in the text?
Right.
Why does God seem to hate this promise?
Because they didn't know who they were talking to and they didn't know who they were. It was an expression of supreme delusional confidence in their own flesh.
So it was arrogance.
It was. They essentially looked at the infinite consuming fire of God's holiness and said, yeah, I can match that. Give me the list. I've got this.
Like a toddler telling an Olympic weightlifter, put it down, I can carry it.
It's worse. It's like a toddler telling the weightlifter, I can carry you.
Yeah.
And notice God's immediate reaction. This is the tell.
Okay.
The moment they say, we will do it, the atmosphere changes completely. God doesn't say, great attitude, guys. I love the enthusiasm.
No. He says, okay, set bounds around the mountain. Do not touch it. If even a beast touches the mountain, it must be stoned to death.
Immediately, it went from come close, I'll carry you, to stay back or you die.
Why?
Because they shifted the basis of the relationship. They moved from grace God doing it to lawman doing it. And the tragedy is God never intended the law to be the way we relate to him.
Really?
The law was added because of their ignorance. They thought they were capable. So God said, okay, here is the standard of perfection. Try to keep it. He gave them a mirror to show them how dirty they actually were.
You know, this reminds me of that analogy from Galatians about Hagar and Sarah.
Yes, Paul is brilliant there. He compares the law to Hagar, the slave woman, and grace to Sarah, the wife.
Okay.
The Israelites at Sinai were like a man who has a choice, and he decides, you know what? I don't want the intimacy of the wife. I want the transaction. I want the slave woman.
Because a transaction feels controllable.
Precisely. If I earn it, I control it. If it's grace, I'm dependent. And the human ego hates dependency. We want to be the hero of the story.
This brings up a really interesting connection to the book of Job. We have Job 35 in our discussion today. Now, usually we think of Job as the guy who suffered innocently and we feel bad for him, but there's a specific critique leveled against him later in the book that ties right into this Sinai mistake.
Right. Job is struggling with the good person syndrome. He's suffering, and his argument is basically, God, this isn't fair. I checked all the boxes. I was righteous. I helped the poor. You owe me a good life.
It's the transactional mindset again. I put the coin of good behavior in. I expect the candy bar of blessing out.
Exactly. And Elihu, who is this young guy that shows up to speak for God, he shatters this. He asks Job, if you are righteous, what do you give to him? Or what does he receive from your hand?
Ouch. That's humbling.
It's devastating to the ego. He's asking Job, do you really think your morality adds anything to God? He's God.
So my good deeds don't impress him.
Not in the way we think. If you are righteous, you don't increase his glory. If you sin, you don't hurt his essential being. God isn't looking for a business partner to help him run the universe. He isn't looking for a hero to impress him.
But we see this everywhere today, don't we? I mean, look at our news cycle.
Oh, constantly.
It doesn't matter. It's the left or the right. Every election, every corporate rebrand, every self-help guru is built on this Sinai promise. I will restore order. I will fix the corruption. I will optimize my routine.
It's the universal human religion. I can fix it. We honestly believe that if we just have the right rules or the right leadership or the right discipline, we can clean up the mess.
And the result is always the same.
Always the same as Sinai. You make the promise, you fail, and then you end up with a judgment. You end up with a smoking mountain and fear.
So if Sinai is the diagnosis that we're delusional about our ability to be good, we need a second opinion. We need to find out why we can't keep the rules.
Right.
Let's fast forward about, 1,500 years to the New Testament?
Yeah.
Let's jump to Mark chapter 7.
This is where the rubber meets the road. In Mark 7, we meet the spiritual professionals, the Pharisees.
The experts.
These are the guys who took all that Jehovah has spoken we will do and turned it into an Olympic sport. They professionalized the we will do it mindset.
And the scene opens with a controversy over hygiene. They see Jesus' disciples eating bread with common hands. Now, when they say common, they mean unwashed. But looking at the Greek notes here, the word is specific. It's koinos.
Yes, koinos. It technically just means common or shared by all, but in their religious system, it came to mean defiled or unholy.
How so?
Their worldview was that the world out there is dirty. The marketplace, the Gentiles, the dust, it's all defiled. So if you touch it, you catch the dirt.
So they developed this elaborate, almost OCD protocol. The text says they washed cups, pitchers, copper vessels, even couches.
It was obsessive. But it makes perfect sense if you believe the Sinai mistake. If you believe righteousness is something you achieve by following rules, then you have to constantly scrub the outside to make sure you're clean. You have to create a sterile environment.
It's the ultimate fix the outside strategy. But Jesus, he doesn't play along.
Not at all.
He doesn't say, sorry guys, let me find some water. He goes on the offensive.
He absolutely destroys their worldview. He calls the crowd over and says, listen to me. He tells them, nothing entering a man from the outside can defile him.
Which is a radical statement for that culture.
Radical. He says it's what comes out of the man that defiles him. He flips the x-ray machine around.
So he's turning it inward.
He says the problem isn't the dirt on your hands, the problem is the factory in your chest.
And then he gives that list, and I want to read this slowly, because usually we skim over these lists in the Bible thinking they apply to, criminals.
Right.
But looking at this, it's heavy. Mark 7:21, he says, for from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, fornications, thefts, murders, adulteries.
And it keeps going.
Coveting, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness.
It's overwhelming. And notice the order. It starts with evil thoughts. That's the production line. But what really gets me is the mix. He puts murder in the same list as foolishness.
Yeah, that's unnerving.
Yeah.
Usually I categorize those differently. I think, well, I haven't murdered anyone today, so I'm doing pretty good on the Sinai scale.
Right. But Jesus is asking, Okay, but did you have pride? Did you have foolishness? Did you have deceit?
He's leveling the playing field.
Exactly. He's saying the human heart is a factory that naturally, constitutionally mass produces this stuff. It's not an anomaly, it's our nature. That is why the promise at Sinai was fatal. They promised to keep a holy law using a heart that pumps out sewage.
That's like trying to clean a window with a dirty rag. You're just smearing it.
Right. So Jesus redefines koinos. He says you aren't common or defiled because you skipped the ritual washing. You are defiled because you are human.
So it's an internal state.
The defilement is internal. You can't wash it off with a ritual, and you can't discipline it away with a New Year's resolution.
Okay, so if we stop here, this is the most depressing, timely word we've ever done.
It's pretty bleak, I admit.
We have a terrifying mountain we can't touch. We have a heart that is a factory of evil we can't shut down. And our best efforts are, I will do it, are actually an insult to God.
So where do we go?
Where do we go?
This is the pivot. And in the text of Mark, it happens geographically and spiritually right after this conversation. Jesus leaves the region of the Jews and goes to the borders of Tyre and Sidon.
He goes to the Gentiles.
And he meets the Syrophoenician woman. This woman is the key to the whole mystery. She is the anti-Pharisee.
How so?
She's a Gentile. She's a Greek. She has no claim on the covenants. She has no righteousness. And she has a daughter who is possessed by an unclean spirit.
Which is a perfect picture of what we just talked about, the internal uncleanness. She has a problem in her house, in her DNA, essentially, that she cannot fix.
She knows she can't fix it. The Israelites at Sinai said, we can do it. This woman comes and falls at Jesus' feet, basically saying, I can't do anything.
But then Jesus says something that, frankly, it sounds offensive. It sounds harsh.
It does.
He tells her, let the children be satisfied first, for it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs.
It lands like a slap in the face to modern ears.
He called her a dog. In 2026, you get canceled for that.
You do. But we have to look at the Greek again to understand the nuance, because Jesus is doing something very specific here. The standard word for a street dog, a scavenger, a wolf-like creature roaming the alleys is kion.
Okay.
That is an insult, but that's not the word Jesus uses.
What does he use?
He uses kynarion. It's the diminutive form.
Diminutive, so like a smaller version.
It means little dog. It means a puppy, a household pet.
Okay, that changes the mental image significantly. We are talking about a beast in the alley. We're talking about the pet under the dining room table.
Exactly. The puppy is inside the house. It's loved. It belongs. But, and this is the crucial test, it is not one of the children.
So there's still a distinction.
He is maintaining the distinction. The bread, the revelation, the covenants came to the Jews first. He is testing her positioning. Do you agree with the divine order, or do you think you deserve this?
If it were me and someone called me a dog, even a nice dog, I'd probably get defensive. My Sinai ego would flare up.
Oh, for sure.
I'd say, excuse me, I'm a good person. I pay my taxes. Help me.
Right. That's what the Pharisees would have done. The Sinai mentality defends its honor. It claims merit. But look at her response. This is where she wins the argument. She says, yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord, just like that.
She agrees with the verdict. She accepts that compared to the holiness of God, she isn't a hero. She isn't a child at the table. She's the dog.
Wow.
But then she adds the loophole of grace. She says, but even the little dogs under the table eat of the children's crumbs.
That is brilliant. She turns the disqualification into a claim. She says, okay, I'm a dog, but dogs get fed too.
She spots the character of the master. She knows that the master is so generous, so abundant, that just the crumbs falling from his table are enough to solve her biggest problem.
And Jesus loves this. He doesn't say, how dare you? He says, because of this word, go your way. The demon has gone out of your daughter.
Now pause and look at the theology here. This is the triune God in action, but in a totally different way than Sinai.
Break that down for us, because this is where the solution actually lies.
At Sinai, God was the Father, the lawgiver on the mountain, high, holy, don't touch me, unapproachable.
Right.
But here in Mark, who is Jesus, he describes himself as the bread.
The children's bread.
Right. God didn't stay on the mountain. He came down. He processed himself. Wheat has to be crushed, ground, and baked to become bread.
Okay.
And then to reach the little dog, he becomes even smaller. He becomes a crumb.
He makes himself edible. He makes himself accessible.
Yes. The crumb is Jesus the Son in his humanity, his availability. He is small enough for you to eat.
Mm.
And when the woman ate that crumb by taking his word by faith, what happened?
The spirit moved.
The power went to her house. The demon left.
So the internal defilement, the Mark 7 heart factory problem, wasn't fixed by washing hands. It wasn't fixed by promising to be better.
Yeah.
It was fixed by eating the crumb.
That is the takeaway. The Pharisees had the law, but they still had the evil thoughts and pride inside. The woman admitted she was a dog, she partook of Jesus, and her internal reality was healed.
This completely flips the script on how we try to be good Christians or even just good people.
It does.
We spend so much time trying to prove we belong at the table, acting dignified, hiding our mess, polishing our resume. But Jesus seems much more interested in feeding the honest pets under the table.
Because the pets know they are dependent, and that is what faith is. Faith isn't claiming I can do it. Faith is claiming he has done it, and I am hungry.
So let's bring this down to the pavement. It's Tuesday, I'm in traffic, or I'm looking at my to-do list and I'm already overwhelmed. The natural instinct is to go Sinai mode. I will be patient. I will not yell. I will crush this presentation.
And that is setting yourself up for the crash. Because by 10 a.m., when someone cuts you off or the printer breaks, your heart factory is going to produce anger and evil thoughts.
Right.
And because you promised you wouldn't do that, now you feel condemned. You touched the mountain and you died.
So what is the little dog alternative? How do we live under the table?
You wake up and you admit the truth. You say, Lord, I am a Mark 7 factory. My heart is naturally going to produce impatience, anxiety, and pride today. I cannot stop it on my own. I'm a little dog. I need you as my crumbs.
That feels risky. It feels like giving up control.
It's not giving up. It's connecting to the source. When that moment comes, when you feel the anger rising, don't try to suppress it. That's just washing the outside of the cup.
So what do I do?
Instead, you turn that feeling into a hunger.
Convert the problem into a prayer for supply.
Exactly. Say, Lord, there it is again. That's my nature. I need a crumb of your patience right now because I don't have any. You stop trying to be the source of your own goodness. You let the triune God dispense himself into you as the supply.
And that converts the scary God of Sinai into the enjoyable God of the table.
And that is the only way the demon goes out. We cannot clear out our own internal clutter. Only the life of God, coming in as the crumbs, can displace the evil thoughts, the pride, the foolishness.
It's really the difference between a religion of fear, I hope I did enough, and a life of enjoyment. I'm getting fed.
And just think about the scale of this. In the story, a few crumbs were enough to cast a demon out of a girl who wasn't even in the room.
Wow.
Just a tiny particle of Jesus has that much power.
That's a powerful thought.
But look at what happens immediately after this story in Mark. Right after the woman, Jesus feeds the 4,000. He starts breaking bread on a massive scale.
Oh, I see where you're going. We start with crumbs, but there is a loaf coming.
Exactly. We start by admitting we are the dog who needs a crumb. But as we eat, as we get used to this diet of grace, we discover there is an abundance we can't even fathom. The crumbs heal, but the loaf transforms.
But you never get to the loaf if you're still standing at Sinai pretending you're a hero.
That's it. You have to lower yourself to be filled.
So that's the mission for this week. Stop promising, start eating. Admit the Mark 7 reality of your heart and let the Lord be your supply.
Stay hungry.
Stay under the table. We'll catch you the next timely word.